Hello, dear friends. The biggest obstacle to our evolution is called fear. Opinion piece. Everything is being disclosed. Overcoming fear is the ultimate test. The F is one of the toughest schools. Fear cannot enter the new Earth. The New York Times backs Julian Assange. No one knows the exact times of the launch. Contactee Sheldan Nidle is convalescing. Colombia apologises to massacre victims. Egypt claims Rosetta Stone from British Museum. The meteorite that fell in Gran Canaria caused a tremor. Jiang Zemin, responsible for the persecution of Falun Gong, dies. Let's start. The dark powers, who had already enjoyed a limited freedom on planet Earth for hundreds of thousands of years, are now facing our helpful brothers and sisters of other worlds, our forces of light, the digital warriors, who through great effort have made progress in eliminating these negative forces. It was the negative forces that sabotaged positive initiatives and made it impossible to break the negative isolation. But now we have succeeded once and for all, says Peter B. Mayer in his wake-up call. On Earth, we have been assisted by our cosmic brothers and sisters with their crucial ability to activate the spiritual and mental forces in the world. They are very much connected to the world of the light wakers. They encourage the valuable efforts, joy, light and love in our world to promote ascension and enter the 5D world. They are able to bring a breakthrough in the mental and spiritual consciousness of the inhabitants of Earth because we are alike in many ways. The sleepers have to combine themselves to believe and see who their real enemies are. The sooner humankind awakens, the better it will be for all of us. Let us not to be modest. Let this be a challenge for all of us to participate and realize our full potential. Remember that our liberation must be fought from the grassroots to ensure lasting peace. Awareness and unity are the greatest enemy of the clique. Knowledge and understanding are necessary to identify social engineering programs and not to fall victim to them. There come times when you discover how limited the world you once believed to be real is. As you move forward, new horizons are revealed, new realities emerge before your eyes. This is encouraging, but it can also bring with it a fear you have never felt before, because of the thrill of the unknown that this always brings, and now even more so because of the planetary transition, which occurs simultaneously with the ascension of incarnated souls. It is a unique event in the galaxy that further enhances the excitement that this grand spectacle will offer to all. The final barrier. According to Vital Frosty, the great marathon of the third dimension is coming to an end. Everything is converging towards the final hurdles within the divine plan that governs the planet. Over time, nearly 100 billion souls have chosen to experience material life under the veil of forgetfulness, feeling cut off from their higher versions and from Source itself. This experience in duality on a third-dimensional world qualifies all ascended souls to join the select group of ascended masters. Earth is one of the toughest schools of souls. Souls from different parts of the galaxy, and even from outside of it, have come here to learn under the veil of oblivion. The divine plan reserves for this school the completion of the great cycle of testing and reconciliation. All the experiences offered have been widely available to all students throughout the millennia. The time has come. We are in the final years of this planetary transition. Of the many tests, overcoming fear is probably the last. When the soul began the wheel of incarnations here on Earth, Fear was already part of its history. Feeling alone, disconnected from source, and abandoned from all, it is logical that you felt exactly like a child who was lost its parents. Thus, fear took hold in you, and it guides you through all your lives. We are now in our last incarnation in duality, here on this planet, and if fear was the first obstacle, it will also be the last to be overcome. Many of you say you feel lost. Yes, that feeling is real, but soon all who feel it will have the opportunity to let go of fear. Understanding what it means to be here in this school, learning to recognize the experience that is presented, assimilating the lessons that are offered, accepting the tests that are given, in short, feeling that you are in fact an interested and willing student of learning, will make this last piece much easier. There is not much left. The anxiety you feel is but the expectation of the soul that knows why it has come here and where it is going. It knows that the long-awaited moment is at hand. The impatience and the rush are getting stronger and stronger, but it is absolutely normal to feel all this. You just have to trust and understand that your soul's purpose is being fulfilled. Fear, which has always accompanied you in successive lives, is now manifesting itself for the last time. Embrace it with love. Wrap it in your light and let it go. Though it may seem to have been your greatest enemy, it has been a teacher who has always taught you. It created obstacles that forced you to find solutions to them. But now you don't have to be afraid anymore. You have to say goodbye to your old partner. Be grateful for this helpful collaboration over the millennia. Assimilate the lessons learned and free yourself from unnecessary burdens. The path now goes in a different direction. Let go of everything that once seemed indispensable, and the fear of lack, scarcity, loss, and so many other possibilities has made us accept fear as a necessity, an unpleasant mistake. From now on, fear is nothing more than a parasite that has become accustomed to consuming your higher energy. It is time to separate from this unwanted creature. Fear cannot enter the portal of the new earth. In the fifth dimension, the low vibration of fear doesn't have enough frequency to sustain itself. Say goodbye to fear and take your final steps into the 5D portal. Humankind has been given the opportunity to let go of fear since the beginning of 2020. Look at all that has happened in these 3 years. Everything was a reason for everyone to feel a fear that is still hiding in the basement. In the last few days, it was shown to me during a meditation that humankind is divided into two very different situations. The group of those who overcome fear and the group of those who are not yet ready to overcome these trials. This will surely determine the destiny of each one. Remember that the teacher cannot interfere with the response to the tests given to his or her students. In fact, when we do the final tests of a major cycle, the last barrier is overcoming fear. I am vital force and my mission is enlightenment. Tribute to a great contactee. Update on Sheldan Nidle's health by Steve Biko. For years, Sheldan Nidle posted his much-missed Galactic Federation updates until he was struck by a directed energy weapon. He has been in convalescence ever since. Despite some cognitive challenges and significant mobility issues, he is bedridden. Sheldan accepts his situation with grace and, for the most part, is content with life. Sheldan is now comfortably ensconced in his retirement home. In this current world, more chaotic than ever, torn by such immobilizing fear and misinformation, we feel there is an even more urgent call for cutting-edge galactic knowledge and awareness around the world. What Sheldan built so many years ago motivates us to carry it forward into a new age of awakening souls. Reset News. Strange and multiple colored auroras and eruptions of volcanic magma flows indicate an increase in the energies or a shift in the energy of the solar system. Are we now moving from a slower frequency to a faster one until we become pure energy? A quantum experiment succeeds in observing the dynamics of a wormhole. Rick Scott's photos in Antarctica show structures, monuments and tombs in 1912. Nobody knows the exact time of the launch of the main transition actions. Even high-level white hats do not know the exact time to reach the targets. This will unavoidably occur because the frequency of the planet and humankind is increasing, and evil is incompatible with this frequency. We need some kind of direct divine intervention. Democracy is in check. Democracy is eroding around the world, according to a new report by the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. The findings show that more and more countries are moving away from democracy and towards authoritarianism. A bleak picture that is not only found in young and fragile countries, but also in established nations such as India and the US. USA. The New York Times thinks that the Balenciaga scandal is a conspiracy theory. Police arrest 5 parishioners defending the Pieta statue removed from a church in Chicago. Disney's new Christmas series, Father Christmases, is getting a backlash after a scene shows children holding signs saying, in quotes, "We love you, Satan." The Washington Post promotes the consumption of edible insects. The 5 SUVs rented by the Secret Service caught fire in the airport park a day after Biden went on holiday to Nantucket. Donald Trump advocates sending the National Guard into cities to restore order. Tornadoes sweep through homes in southern US. Mauna Loa volcano eruption draws spectators to Hawaii. Europe. Eurozone inflation takes its first breather in the last year and a half. European farmers call for more aid in the face of fertilizer prices. French butchers protest in front of Parliament. France restarts its last coal-fired power station to produce electricity due to the crisis. A German politician says, in quotes, that there are still no real alternatives to Russian gas. The European Commission recommends freezing aid funds to Hungary. The New York Times supports Julian Assange. Pressure is mounting on the UK government to release Julian Assange. Spain. The Bank of Spain forecasts slightly positive growth in the last quarter. Eyewitnesses say an earthquake was triggered by a meteorite hitting the island of Gran Canaria. The head of Spain's National Intelligence Center, Esperanza Casteleiro, has not answered any of the 28 questions put to her by MEPs on the Special Committee on the Pegasus spy program in the European Parliament, nor to those put by her by those spied on themselves. Americas. Argentina, Brazil and Paraguay warn Uruguay over its progress in extra-Mercosur agreements. Mutual investments between Peru and Chile reached $32 billion. Explosion of ethane gas pipeline leaves 19 injured in the Mexican state of Veracruz. Colombia apologizes to the victims of massacres committed by the state and paramilitarism. Ecuador Parliament approves repeal of Lasso's tax reform. Guillermo Lasso signs the decree calling for a referendum in Ecuador. Ecuadorians will be able to decide on 8 questions. The protection of 54 species of sharks against illegal trade is enforced in Panama. Nicaragua bans re-entry of EFE correspondent as a news agency. The government says there is no danger of an eruption of the volcano in El Salvador. Cuba calls for a negotiated solution to the Ukrainian crisis and an end to the Western pressure. Deforestation of the Brazilian Amazon exceeded 11,500 square kilometers in 1 year. Ukraine. Poland prepares its claim to Western Ukraine. Ukraine asks the West for its most modern missile system to attack Russia. Russia complains that military supplies to Ukraine prevent arms control negotiations. Russia harvests 155.5 million tons of grain in 97% of its fields. Russia develops new technology to remove space debris. Middle East. Egypt reclaims the Rosetta Stone from the British Museum. The Islamic State group announces the death of its leader and appoints a new caliph. The UN calls on Turkey and the Kurdish Syrians to de-escalate their conflict immediately. The Iranian regime acknowledges for the first time that 300 people have been killed in protests. China. Jiang Zemin, responsible for the persecution of Falun Gong, dies. The former leader of China, who governed between 1989 and 2002, died on 30 November 2022 at the age of 96 in the midst of leukemia, according to the Xinhua news agency. His death comes at a complicated time for China, between the consolidation in power of Xi Jinping, the current leader, the protests of part of the population against the harsh restrictions, and the growing rivalry with the US. The persecution of the peaceful meditation Falun Gong has included arrests, torture, imprisonment, slave labor, and organ harvesting. The CCP also persecutes Christians. Jiang Zemin took power after the Tiananmen Square massacre. The mass rebellion in China shows that people are fed up with communist control. Overseas Chinese students support protests in China by chanting, in quotes, "down with the CCP." Experts say the recent demonstrations surpass the 1989 Tiananmen protests in importance. China partially lifts restrictions in several parts of the country following protest. Apple shut down its protest communication tool before the uprising in China. Pentagon says China may have 1,500 nuclear warheads by 2035. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.